Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update from Monday, October the 6th, 2014. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today criticized Sweden for their stated support for the establishment of a Palestinian state. As you may have seen on IBA News, this past Friday evening, new Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Löfven announced that his government was going to recognize a Palestinian state, a statement that was later backpedaled somewhat by the Swedish embassy in Israel, who said Sweden would like to see a two-state solution achieved as a result of negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians, as opposed to Palestinian unilateral action, which Löfven's initial remarks seemed to suggest. Prime Minister Netanyahu rejected those remarks, saying unilateral steps are in contradiction to past agreements, and they do not contribute to peace, but rather distance it. Israel summoned Swedish Ambassador Carl Magnus Nesser for reprimand after the incident, with the Foreign Ministry's Deputy Director General for Western Europe, Aviv Shiron, who told Nesser that Löfven's statement does not only not contribute to the improvement of relations between Israel and the Palestinians, but even harms it, deteriorates the relations on the ground, and minimizes the chance of reaching an agreement because it gives the Palestinians the unrealistic expectation that it may achieve their goal unilaterally rather than through negotiations with Israel. And staying with Netanyahu, the Prime Minister once again addressed criticism from the United States over Israel's building plans in Jerusalem. In an interview aired last night on CBS, which the Prime Minister taped while still in the U.S. last Thursday, Netanyahu told Face the Nation host Bob Schaefer that he found the U.S. reaction to the building plans, quote, baffling.
And I was absolutely baffled by this. It's against the American values, and it doesn't bode well for peace.
As we reported to you last week, hours after Netanyahu had met with U.S. President Barack Obama at the White House, the U.S. State Department criticized Israel for construction plans in southern and East Jerusalem beyond the Green Line, saying the building would only poison the atmosphere. The Anti-Defamation League also reacted to the State Department's remarks. They called the U.S. criticism, quote, myopic, ill-timed, and off the mark. ADL National Director Abe Foxman said rather than putting the construction issue front and center, focus should be placed on the major issues Obama and Netanyahu mentioned before their meeting, namely the threats of a nuclear Iran and of the Islamic State, and the prospects for peace with the Palestinians while keeping Israel safe. Foxman said just last week, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas used his address before the UN to vilify Israel, reject reconciliation, and to turn away from direct negotiations, which the U.S. called deeply disappointing. The escalation and harshness of U.S. criticism, he said, ignores and ultimately serves to reinforce this intransigence. Palestinian news agency MAN reported today that the new Palestinian Unity government will meet for the first time in Gaza this week. The report said that after great efforts were made to receive the necessary permits from Israel for the various ministers to cross into Gaza, the government will meet this Thursday. Rival factions Fatah and Hamas had agreed to reconcile earlier this year and last month agreed that the Palestinian Authority would take control in Gaza. Hamas had taken control of Gaza by force from the PA or Fatah movement in 2007. Lockheed Martin Israel signed a long-term research collaboration agreement today with Israeli tech company Nisum, which is the technology transfer company of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. CEO of Nisum Yaakov Michlin said the agreement lays the groundwork for a wide range of potential areas of research collaboration. CEO of Lockheed Martin Israel Joshua Shani called the agreement another step in its long-term plans to develop additional partnerships outside the defense market and partner with the industry and academia in Israel. The B'nai B'rith World Center in Jerusalem and the Committee to Recognize the Heroism of Jews who Rescued Fellow Jews During the Holocaust have announced they will bestow their Joint Jewish Rescuers citation on two Hungarian rescuers, Berta Davidovich Rubinstein and Georgi Yitzhak Yuri, who both operated in German-occupied Hungary during World War II. The citation was established in 2011 to make sure the world knew that thousands of Jews were active in rescue efforts throughout Europe, putting their own lives at risk in order to save other Jews from deportation, hunger, and death at the hands of the Nazis and their collaborators. B'nai B'rith World Center Director Alan Schneider said, "We are proud to honor these two Jewish heroes and gratified that through our decade-long efforts, there is growing acknowledgement that their recognition as models for Jewish and human solidarity is long overdue." And turning to our programming for tonight, Monday, October the 6th, we remember the Yom Kippur War, which began on this date in 1973. At 8 o'clock, Mark Golub sits down with Yom Kippur War veteran and hero Don Almagor, who shares his remarkable story of the war and the Battle of Tel Saki on L'chaim, followed at 9:30 by Almagor's film, The Battle Over the Soul. That's tonight on JBS and jbstv.org. And that's the JBS News Update from Monday, October the 6th, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader.